Hi, I'm making a Who today, and I realized I should just take a little bit of video while I'm doing it in case somebody else is interested in making one too, and not having to reinvent everything from scratch. So I'm going to flip around my camera here. Can I? I'm going to start again. So as you can see, I have a piece of satin here. This is a synthetic satin. It looks kind of bumpy right now. That's because it's ironed onto a piece of paper. Today I used a thick heat and bond ultra hold as an experiment. With this doesn't require or even want you to do any sewing on top of it afterward, which should be easier. My hope is that the thickness of the relative thickness of the glue between the two pieces of fabric ultimately will make sure that there's no need for any kind of somehow seam sealing on these edges that we're going to be cutting that tend to fray. So hopefully the glue on those cleanly cut edges will hold it all together really sharply and strongly. I've ironed the heat and bond to the back side, or what in sewing they call the wrong side, but we're not judgmental like that. It's just a different side, and I've drawn a grid here of 22 units. It's 22 units tall, 22 units wide, and I'm sorry, that's not right. It's 21 units wide, 21 units tall. And so the very center unit, because it's odd. There's an odd number. So there's a center square, and that one's here. I've just colored in the center square. I have another Who over here I could look at if I need to. We see that it has 4 squares surrounding the center. So I've gone up 2, over 2 in every direction, and now I'm going to square them up here. And these lines are on this paper that's later going to be removed, but for now they're just to help me when I get out my scissors to feel confident that I'm cutting along the right lines. Okay, we've got our square here. Next thing that happens is we're gonna, you guys, this Who that I made is backwards, and that's because I accidentally misremembered which direction it goes. I was drawing it by memory, and I drew it backwards because I had been doing it on the wrong side of paper. On the wrong side of fabric just the first time I did it, like we're going to be doing today. So fortunately, this one's wrong, but it's right for what we're doing because we're going backwards on the wrong side, the back side of the fabric. Coming up, we're going, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 units up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to draw our little square here. And it comes back. Skip 1. And then up 5, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up 5. So that's counting this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then over 5, 6. Over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here we're gonna, this part always requires a little bit of extra measuring. Sorry, this part here. But we know it starts here and it goes out the same number of units as this. 5. 1, 2. Sorry, I forget to look through the camera. 3, 4, 5. To do this one, we're going to go from the top corner here the top corner of our thing down to the bottom corner, bottom outside corner here. That square to this square. That's going to make the outside line of the inside section of the Who. These units that I'm working with, as you can see, are 2 centimeters each. So I'm going to come back here to this diagonal line I've just drawn and mark on at 2 points on that line. I'm going to mark 2 centimeters. And now just draw that line connecting the top and the bottom. Can you see what I'm doing here? Drawing that line to connect those. Now I can fill that in. Okay, that's how I do it. You might think of a better way to do it. But this is the first. So now we repeat that 4 times, which I don't need to show you how that's done. So this is the sketch of the reverse design for the inside section of the Who. And there was somewhere I messed up at some point. I want to just show you as an example. Yeah, here, is that where it is? Anyway, the point of this thing I was going to show is just that it's okay if you mess up. I did mess up somewhere. Maybe it came out here all the way to the end, because ultimately the design will go out that far. But I'm just going to ignore that. So the next section that we need to draw here is the outside. That was the inside. Now that we need to get the outside rim. Each one of these, the top 2 sides and the bottom, are 9 units. So we want to start from the center of our design. Skip 1, there's 1, skip 1, there's 1. This is going to be the center of the top. So we've got 1 here. We'll do 4 on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the top corner from which we will measure our angles for the outside. Same thing here. Outside. Up 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 1, 2, 3, 4. This outside one we won't cut. When we draw our angles, you really only go through about half of that square. But these will help us. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And here, same. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, getting confused with holding the camera while I'm working. So now we're going to connect our dots. We're going from the top corner, the outside-most, endmost corner of these squares that we've blocked off. Doing this with one hand. I'm going to have to pinch down my ruler while I draw my connecting line. And as before, so see, it's going from the top outside corner, same down to here. Now we're going to do what we did before with measuring out 2 centimeters in 2 spots on this line. And then we will have a very fun time connecting them and completing our line. Dot, dot. Do that again for each of your 4 corners and you will be complete. Here we have the full design laid out with all of those outside corners connected on our 9-unit straightaways on the outside. So we're going to resist the temptation to do an Om salutation and begin meditating at this stage, but we will get our scissors and get a little closer to the ultimate hooing. So now we'll cut around the outside of our design. I will do some cutting and then show you what I've done. After I cut all around the outside of the outside section, I did a little slice through between the 2 different sections, and now I'm starting to cut the inside of the outside. Now our outside is cut, and we'll start on the inside. So, here's our outside. You can see. And here's our inside. It's very fun. You guys, don't be like me, all right? Because I got a little cocky, as they say, when I was cutting out, and that mess up that I couldn't find before messed me up here. So I'm going to, at that point, you know, you got to start all over, which is a lot of work to redo. But I'm going to try to iron it on just perfectly and iron these pieces on separately. When I find that other piece, it's down here somewhere. And maybe it won't even be very noticeable. Otherwise, I will start all over. That's what I needed to do. So here are all of my pieces. And here's the outside that will go around. After I got it all cut out, I tried to do as clean a job as I could with keeping those lines really straight. Then I peeled off the backing on both pieces and my little mess ups. And now I've laid it out here on what I'm using for a back. This is a cotton velvet. Velvet is tricky with ironing because it flattens if the iron goes over the velvet, and then it can be challenging, maybe even impossible. I'm not sure. I haven't experimented enough to get that fuzz back. So I'm using a little iron today, and I'm going to just kind of use the edge of the iron to get this hoo going. See? It's a little bitty iron. It happens to be what I have. So I measured that all the sides are equidistant from the edges. I'm making a square. You might be making a different shape back. But I'm just going to try to not press down the, I'm just going through the center here to get it to stick. I'm going to come back and do the fine tuning on an ironing board. I'm starting in the center. Now I'm going to come through. Really don't want to move it while I'm doing this. Definitely don't want to get any wrinkles in it. I took it back to the ironing board and went back over it. It was really difficult to do it in the way that I had intended. I ended up just going over the whole thing, including the black, because I found that it really did not mess up the nap in a visible way on this cotton velvet that I used. Though it did when I tested it earlier, but because of the complexity of the design, it's just not noticeable really. That's it. That's a who. A couple notes. If you are an Enneagram 1 making a who, you might want to use some different techniques that I haven't devised yet. I myself am an Enneagram 1, but I just use it as a yoga to not take myself too seriously. And if you're an Enneagram 2 and you make a who for someone who's maybe not even expecting it, and they don't hang it up, and they don't use it, you can be prepared to be like, fine with it. So we're making them for the joy of making them. I was at the post office just about to send it off in the mail and realized I didn't show the final fixings here. It's just there's an oak dowel, and I used drawer pulls for the finials. This is just a cord that I braided with a couple of little, the embroidery thread comes in those little tiny skeins. I used 5 of them, 3 to make one. Each one made 1 strand of the braid, and then 1 skein each for the whatever these are called. My brain. Tassel. It's not perfect. This one's not perfect because of that mess up I did. And the ironing wasn't awesome, but it's totally fine. It looks great from far away, and it'll be perfect on Zoom. It was not hard. Oh, and then, obviously, you're just sewing a seam down here, and then 2 pockets there for rods. Okay.